Starr FM, I am Tutuwaa Danso. Let's see the top stories for this evening. Coming up in this broadcast, fear and shock grips academic community of a Raleigh Senior High School following stabbing incident which claimed the life of a final year student.
That is what I want. The boy, yesterday, we were able to take him to police hospital, so he's at the morgue over there.
We will hear from the family of the deceased students who have issued a one-week ultimatum to school authorities to furnish them with the details of the incident. Also in this broadcast, heavy security deployment at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital over after unannounced visits by a ranking member on health committees revealed that more and more elevators have broken down at the facility. We'll take you live to the premier teaching facility shortly as management makes frantic efforts to get the elevators up and running. And later, minority demands immediate dismissal of Minister for Science, Environment and Innovation, Ophelia Hayford, and Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, by President Akufo-Addo over Galamsey.
Dismiss the ministers responsible for science and environment, a minister responsible for lands and natural resources, to signal their disappointment also and the indignation of the people of Ghana.
Meanwhile, Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagban says some MPs are neck deep in the illegal mining activities.
Who are those participating in the Galamsey? If we take census, some of you will be there. And the people you are talking to are aware.
We'll be hearing from the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission on the status of our Galamsey fight. And later on the campaign trail, we sit with a Deputy Health Minister and Member of Parliament for Achimoda constituency, Alexander Akwe. Plus, hear why the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, is blaming the NPP for lack of rains in the country. There are details of these and many other stories in this broadcast. Do stay.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Thank you very much for choosing Starr today. This broadcast is streaming live on our Facebook platform at Starr FM, Starr 103.5 FM. Now, fear and shock has gripped the academic community of the Raleigh Senior High School following a stabbing incident that claimed the life of a final year student. The deceased, Edward Bokite Saki, reportedly died on Monday, September 2, 2024, after being stabbed in the chest during an altercation with a classmate. According to reports, the deceased and his colleague were arguing over whose father is richer. Now, family and friends of Edward Saki are demanding answers from school authorities. But before we hear from the family, let's listen to a student who have witnessed the incident.
We were in the school. My brother started his paper. He's supposed to start his paper first before me. When he was done with the paper, he came to me and he said, "Oh, sister, I'm done with the paper." And I said, "Okay, I'm also going to start mine." And he said, "Okay." But not less than 30 minutes, we some noise and they said, oh, there is some misunderstanding at the back. And he said, oh, okay, this thing is normal thing. But not like few hours later, the boy came to me and he said, you warn your brother. If you don't warn your brother's blood will flow in my hand. And I said, oh, what has happened? And he said, me, I'm warning you. And the boy was coming with speed. The teachers were there, everybody was there. I tried to stop, but to no avail. So I decided to come out, to come and call my uncle because my uncle lived just here. I came, they said my uncle was not around. Immediately I entered the school gate, I saw the students gathering around someone lying down. I was asking, who is that? And they said it's Edwin, but Godwin has stabbed him. And I said, how? The teachers didn't mind. There are cars in the school. They didn't send me. So the boys in the school took him to the junction. We took him to the junction.
You just heard an eyewitness account of the stabbing incident that happened at the O'Reilly Senior High School. And the student who just spoke also happens to be the cousin of the now deceased person. Now, father of the deceased, Enoch Saki, who is demanding justice, also accused school authorities of negligence. He spoke to Star News.
I gave him money to come to the school. I also set off to work. I was at work and my niece called me. He's also a student here. Uncle, a boy is fighting Edward. So wherever you are, rush and do what? Then come and ask me. Is there no teachers at the school? Why do you want me to go and say the teachers are sitting unconcerned? I said, what? Quickly, I moved my car. On my way to motorway, she called back and said, the boy fighting my son, stabbed him. At his chest. 3 times on the chest. 3 good times on the chest. He ran from the class to the teachers. The teachers were sitting under the tree. So he ran because he saw the boy with the knife. When he went there, the teachers pushed him to me. The boy to go and do what? So the boy stabbed him 3 times on the chest. He lied down and was bleeding. All these things, the teachers were sitting unconcerned. Okay. The little girl called me back again and said, Edward is bleeding. And the teachers are sitting unconcerned. So the students have they are taking him to the nurse. They come here, they walk almost like 40 meters to the main street, beg for somebody to pick him to the hospital. Before they got to Lapma Hospital, my boy passed away.
Did you speak to the teachers?
No, the school authority are not ready to talk to anybody. They are not ready to explain anything. They are not ready to answer anybody. They don't want to talk to anybody. So we decide to be here today for the school authority to come out and give us access. Why a boy has to come to a school and go stop to them? Because even if you go to abattoir, we have Fulani that control the cattle there. Am I lying? So what of a school? A school that you pay fees. A school that you train human beings, they're not animals. And a student to stab his mate and the teachers to sit down and watch him die. In front of teachers. Up to now, not the school authority, not police, nobody have explained anything to me. Even the family of the boy, I don't even know anything. So that is why we are here. We are coming to seek for justice for my son. That is what I want. The boy, yesterday, we were able to take him to police hospital. So he's at the morgue over there. The boy who stabbed my son, the police told us that they have arrested the boy, but we have not seen the boy. Either the boy is blue or is black already. I don't know.
That was the father of the deceased gentleman demanding justice there. But let's get more details on this development. And my colleague, Nanaya Wasare, was at the school premises earlier today for more details. And he's joined me in the studio. Nanaya, thank you very much. When you visited O'Reilly Senior High School, what was the mood?
It was chaotic at the entrance of the school because the family members were there and they were demanding to enter the school premises to ask the authorities questions, but they were being resisted by the police. Okay. Yeah, so it was chaotic at the entrance after the time we got there.
From the accounts of the cousin of the deceased, she said that when the gentleman was injured, teachers sat unconcerned.
Yeah.
Was that the same thing you got on the ground?
Yes. So according to her, she said the fight happened in the hostel. But as at the time the fight was happening, the teachers were seated unconcerned because apparently it's a recurrent situation. The students fight occasionally, so they seemed unconcerned. But when he was stabbed, he ran back to where the teachers were seated, laid on the floor.
When the gentleman was stabbed,
yes, he ran back to where the teachers were.
What is the distance between where he was stabbed and where the teachers are? Do you know?
I can't tell, but it's
okay.
Yes. Per her account, he ran back to where the teachers were seated and then laid on the floor.
I want to imagine. So whilst he was bleeding, he was running to the teachers for assistance.
Yes, and he ran, and then according to her, when he came and laid on the floor in a pool of blood, they were still unconcerned, and so it took the intervention of the students themselves to rush him to the roadside to get a taxi and all of that. And so it took off about 40 minutes to get him to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead. On arrival, yeah.
In the video circulating on social media, we could see the family clearly very angry, demanding justice. Did the teachers come out to say anything beyond using the police to protect themselves?
No. The headmistress came out at a point, but she spoke to the police and she went back inside. The teachers didn't come out. The authorities themselves also didn't come out. But from what we gathered from the people around the school in the neighborhood, they claim it's something that has been going on for a very long time.
What exactly has been going on? The fight has been going on in the school campus.
Yes, and then the negligence of the teachers too. They always seem unperturbed about whatever is going on.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I'll wrap up with this shortly, but let me go over the phone lines and engage Irene Sam, who is the Deputy PRO for the National Association of PTA Council. Madam Sam, thank you very much for your time. So, a fight ensued between students, and which has led to this unfortunate development. We're hearing details of the story. I mean, how does that make you feel as a parent as well? Right, but I don't know if you followed the conversation between me and my colleague who covered the developments on the ground, but he says that apparently, or according to reports that he heard when he visited the school, this wouldn't be the first time such an issue, a fight, has happened on the school campus. And then it also won't be the first time that teachers have acted unperturbed. I mean, as a council, have you heard anything like that?
Amidst all these things, we parents have brought our work to school, and everything that happens to them there, we hold school management responsible. So we are saying that the control measures which are not there is also a factor of some of these things which are occurring in our schools these days.
I mean, are there other robust measures that can be instituted, beyond putting up statements to express your displeasure? Are there robust measures that can be instituted to curb some of these issues on senior high school campuses?
Yes, I must say that this issue, there's a clear negligence on the part of, school management. Secondly, we can also see that if there was an appropriate or urgent health care, that child's life could be saved. So we, as a council, we are taking steps to, make a policy on insurance for our children, as well as the parents, and also to institute sick beds in our schools. We have even gone ahead to look at getting health professionals which are stationed in the school to handle such emergency cases so that lives can be alleviated when these issues come up.
Right. Now, the family of the late Edward Saki is demanding justice. As a council, what role do you think you will play in order to ensure that justice is served?
So we as a council, we are also doing our own investigation and then look at how best we can come in. So we are in the middle here, the school management and then the parents front. So we will make sure that we help out so that this issue can be resolved, and then justice could also be served. This is a criminal case here. So justice must definitely be served, and that's what we are looking at for. And this must also serve as a deterrent to some of the students, abroad. Normally, we hear of such things happening to Form 3 students. When they are about to complete, they try to get into all forms of violence here and there. So some of these things can be a deterrent to them to make sure that they comport themselves and complete their school in safety.
Right. Irene, thank you very much for talking to us. We appreciate your time. Irene Sam is the Deputy PRO for the National Association of the PTA Council. Let me come back in the studio and wrap up with my colleague, Nanaya Wasari, who was at the event. So, Nanaya, what is the way forward? Moving forward, what are we expecting from the family of the deceased?
So, from the school premises, we follow them to their house, their family home. And from what we've gathered so far, it looks like they intend going back to the school 1 week later if they do not hear anything from the school authorities or the Ghana Police Service. And from what they said, it looks like it's going to be bloody if they don't hear any information from the school authorities and the Ghana Police Service.
But are you likely to follow up on this development before their family even, the ultimatum they gave expires?
Very much.
Right.
I am likely.
Right.
I think the father also hinted on a legal stance. They intend to push it legally as well. So I'll do follow-ups on that. Yeah.
Nanaya, thank you very much for those updates there. Nanaya Asari is my colleague who has been monitoring the sad developments that happened on the Oreli Senior High School campus. Let's talk about health now. And there is heavy security deployments at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital after an unannounced visit by the ranking member of the Health Committee, Kwabna Minta Akanda, revealed that more and more elevators have broken down. Now, barely 24 hours after he visited the facility, he did indicate that the elevators at the surgical units of the facility have broken down. The Jaboso MP again made another visit to the Premier Teaching Hospital, and this time the elevators at the radiology department had completely ground to a halt, while those at the maternity units are malfunctioning. Mr. Kanda spoke to the media after his visits.
To inspect the lifts or elevators which were not working. We went to the surgical ward. We realized that that lift was not working, and we gave a 24-hour ultimatum. 4 to 5 hours later, we were told the surgical ward lift was working. Indeed, today we come to check that the surgical ward lift is working. Unfortunately, there are other several lifts that are also not working. Some of them have been grounded. We went to the radiology department. The lift has been grounded, and we came to the maternity block. The lift at the maternity block is more functioning. When you enter, whatever you press, you don't know where you are going. We entered, we pressed 3, it didn't take us to 3. We pressed floor 6, it didn't take us there. Unless somebody at a particular floor calls the lift, it will not move. That is the state of the maternity block lift. Why is the lift at the CEO's office working? Is that one working? If that one is working, why would that one be working, and what will carry the patient will not be working? So please, within the next 24 hours, the lift, especially at the maternity block, can you imagine if somebody is in labor and it gets there, an emergency situation, it gets into the lift and it's not moving? And so they should stop that, counter press conference and press conference. What we are asking them to do is not to release press statements, is to fix the lifts, the elevators. And not until these elevators are fixed, I promise them I'll come back again. Yesterday I told them I was going to be here this morning. I have come. And nobody not even the President of the Republic of Ghana, has the right to prevent any member of parliament from performing his parliamentary duty. 5 hours. We are calling on them, the President, the Minister responsible for health, and the management of Kolebu must fix the other lifts that are not working within the next 24 hours. They must fix them. Fixing lifts is not rocket science. And if you look at the state in which Kolebu finds itself, it's appalling, it's nasty, and I think Kolebu needs a total rebuild. We must all pay attention to our premier referral center or hospital. We should not do things as usual. We think that as a matter of urgency, at least the lifts at Kolebu must be fixed. Whilst we were going around, some of you heard it. Some of the staff themselves were telling us, Honorable, there are some lifts here, that one too is not working. You heard it yourself. They were showing us where the lifts were, and almost all the lifts in the place are not working.
You just heard that the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Jaboso constituency and a ranking member on the Health Committee, Kwabena Mintah Akando. Let me come in the studios now and engage my colleague, Benjamin Saki. He has been following this development keenly. Benjamin, thank you very much. You were there. Paint a picture. According to the Honourable Member, some lifts are still not working. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's very true. The Honourable Member for the Jaboso constituency, Honourable Mintah Akando, rightly said that the elevator at the surgical department, truly it is working, but he says it wasn't working. I went there this morning.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw working. It was working.
Okay.
It was working.
Okay.
But that of the maternity department and the maternity department and that of the radiology, they are not working.
Okay.
I spoke to some patients in there, and one said that she's supposed to have a scan today, but now she's stuck in the elevator, so she doesn't even know what to do.
So the patient was due for a radiology appointment?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. That is it. She was, but it looks like today, because the elevator wasn't working, she was stuck and didn't know what to do at the end. The hospital authority, declined not to speak to any of us, the news team. And it is true, the elevator breakdown is just the latest challenge, for the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which has faced several infrastructure and resource issues in recent times. Basically, that is what happened. And patients are stranded. Patients, you could see a pregnant woman, being put in a wheelchair, being raised from downstairs.
On the staircase?
On the staircase. And this, I don't know whether it's an eyesore or what. I felt it. I was just imagining this was my mom. Seriously, it was just an eyesore when we went there.
I see.
The mood there was likely tensed, with a sense of urgency for patients to resolve the issue and restore normal hospital operations. Vanessa.
Let me find out from you. You clearly debunked Akando's claims that the surgical department's lifts wasn't working. According to what you saw, it was working.
It was working.
Did you visit the maternity and radiology department's lifts as well?
Right. So like I said, I visited the maternity and the radiology department. The lifts in there are not working.
So both are not working?
Both are not working.
Okay.
As said by the Honourable Member of Parliament.
Okay.
But that of the surgical is working. That of surgical is working.
Okay.
Sure.
Talking about the surgical department's lifts, earlier there were reports that because the lift was faulty, surgeries had been restricted to just emergency surgeries. What is the status of that now? Have they started conducting the elective surgeries?
They have started conducting the elective surgeries. Yeah, God being so good, we're able to fix the surgery, the elevator, like I said, at the surgical department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So now patients who are, what's the name? Giving appointment to come today and other days will be able to use the lift to go to their various laboratory or surgical department to have their surgery being done.
So we are sure that the surgeries have started fully, either emergency or elective ones.
Right.
Benjamin, thank you very much for those updates there. Benjamin Saki is my colleague, and he has been in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital following developments there. You are still listening to Starr Today.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, the National Democratic Congress has accused the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, of dishonesty regarding his promise not to have more than 50 ministers. According to the NDC, this promise is merely a knee-jerk reaction to an earlier pledge by their flag bearer, John Mahama, to have no more than 60 ministers. The NDC claims that Dr. Bawumia's promise cannot be trusted due to the governing party's track record on appointments. Now, the MP for North Tonga and NDC spokesperson on governance, Samuel Tutuwaa Blakwa, addressing the media a short while ago, made these comments.
At the end of this constitutional reform process is that, for example, we are going to have MMDCs elected. We are no longer going to appoint them. For example, you are going to see at the end of this constitutional review process that Parliament is going to be strengthened. That constitutional provision which says that majority of ministers should come from Parliament is going to stop, so that you decide. You either want to be a legislator or you want to be an executive. The president is also then going to have a free hand to appoint ministers from everywhere. Best brains, best expertise to help him develop this country. He is not going to be restrained because of the constitutional provision. Key amongst the constitutional review items that you can expect is that President Mahama is saying that we are going to take a second look at Article 71 of our Constitution. So ex gratia will be abolished. He does not believe that we should continue with this practice of ex gratia to a few Article 71 office holders. And in the process, he is going to put together the Presidential Emoluments Committee, combine that with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. So we have one body. So we don't have two classes of workers in our country. Article 71 workers who are treated specially and differently, and then the rest of the Ghanaian workforce. So these are some of the key highlights that you are going to see at the end of the constitutional reforms that are going to take place under incoming President John Dramani Mahama, inshallah. When you also read the manifesto, President Mahama is promising a new paradigm of ethical and incorruptible leadership. He says that he is going to lead by example. So the fight against corruption is not going to be fighting the corruption of my predecessor. Everything that happens by my appointees, I am a clearing agent, so I don't see it. President Mahama is saying that he will not be a clearing agent. He will expect the highest standard of ethical and incorruptible leadership. If you cannot meet that gold standard, then you have no business serving in his government. And I think that we have to applaud President Mahama for that. President Mahama is also saying that he is going to drastically reduce the size of government by appointing not more than 60 ministers. And you've heard him say this time without number. He's very passionate about it. In addition to that, if you read our manifesto, some people had 60 and then they ran to go implement, to go and announce 50. When they are the people with the worst record under this fourth Republican dispensation, appointing over 100 ministers. But you see, they just stop at 50 ministers. We go beyond. The NDC manifesto is saying that we are going to streamline and realign the government. There is no reason why we should have a separate ministry for railway and transport, a separate ministry for sanitation and local government, separate ministry for tourism and chieftaincy. President Mahama is saying we are going to do major realignment, streamlining of all of these ministries. Then in addition to that, he doesn't stop there. The lean and efficient government that President Mahama is talking about. He is also saying that all of these amorphous presidential staffers who have mushroomed overnight, and we have been raising concerns in Parliament, they don't listen to us. As we speak, some of the portfolios of these presidential staffers, when you hear it, you collapse. Ghana is currently paying somebody who calls himself a diaspora church mobilization officer. Can you believe that? He's also a presidential staffer who is mobilizing the churches all over the world. And only Ghana must pay for it. He didn't go to the UN so that we all contribute, so that all governments, all countries will contribute. Only Ghana is paying for a diaspora church mobilization officer. Ghana is paying somebody at the presidency called an ambassador for diaspora youth affairs. Can you believe that? When we have a foreign minister, 2 deputies, we have 63 diplomatic missions across the globe.
Samuel Tutuwaa Blakwa is the Member of Parliament for North Tonga. Also, the party's spokesperson on infrastructure and Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Kwame Govern-Sagboja, also questioned the cost and value of infrastructure projects spearheaded by the current administration.
As we speak, there is a growing concern about the cost and value of infrastructure projects delivered under this government. A classical example is this. The NDC reconstructed the Aoshi-Pokwasi Road, which is a 15-kilometer road with an additional work on other roads amounting to 15 kilometers for around $120 million. The 15 kilometers is 8 lanes. So this idea that the Accra-Tema Motorway project is unseen before is neither here nor there. In any case, 4 of the lanes of the 10 lanes we want to build already exist, which is the 2 lanes going to Tema and 2 lanes coming to Accra. And as I maintain, the Accra-Tema Motorway remains one of the best roads in our country. I agree that portions are damaged, but the good thing is that those portions that are damaged are in concrete, in expansion joints. You can actually remove those portions and replace them. And then you can build 2 slip roads by the side to increase the capacity of that road. The question is, even if you build Accra-Tema Motorway, 20 lanes on each direction, after you start and complete the motorway, where will you be going? You still enter the traffic. So the solution is not to only increase the capacity on the motorway. The solution is to do deep thinking and to have the linkages that actually spread the traffic. That is why you see that when you are going to Tema today, you don't see any traffic at the Tema end of the motorway again. Because once again, President Mahama did the Tema end of the motorway interchange, of which MPP is continuing, and I'm sure when it's completed, it will also enhance that. So the question is, when currently they said under the Motor Angels project, the project was PPP to be funded by Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. That fund is broke, doesn't have 1 cedi. And that project was $570 million for 19 kilometers. My brothers and sisters, the motorway itself is just 19 kilometers. It's the extension that will make it 27 kilometers. So how on earth is NDC able to do about 23 kilometers for $120 million? And we are now being told that 27 kilometers will have to be 570, which they brought to Parliament. What we approved is about $338 million. But government is saying on the day of the so-called sword cutting that the project will be $660 million. Somebody is not telling us the truth. Somebody wants to take our money. In any case, if the project was 570 million under PPP, i.e., Motor Angels was supposed to borrow money, pay interest. Now that Motor Angels is out of the project, ask yourself, if government of Ghana is the one paying for the project, why is it still 570 million, now moving to 660 million?
Governs Kwame Agboja is the Adaklu MP. Now, still on this development, the NDC spokesperson on business development and industrialization, Hajia Sajida Jiras, has revealed future NDC will grant new businesses 2 years tax waiver. She added they will review the Customs Amendments Act to allow importing salvage cars. Take a listen.
We intend to rationalize import duties, fees and charges, and to reduce the cost of doing businesses. We will provide tax incentives, financing support, security services, and cheaper and reliable power for businesses operating under the 24-hour economy. We intend to provide tax breaks and low-cost financing for strategic startups and micro, small, medium enterprises. In consonance with this, we will exempt new small businesses from paying corporate and personal income tax for the first 2 years after incorporation. We also intend to provide agro-production support services for MSMEs by linking them to our agro-industrial zones, and we intend to enhance the role of Exim Bank in financing non-traditional exports and international trade generally. To promote the production and consumption of made-in-Ghana goods, fellow citizens, we implement a made-in-Ghana agenda. Under this initiative, we will leverage government spending power for the procurement of made-in-Ghana goods and undertake public education campaigns to reorient Ghanaians to patronize made-in-Ghana products. We will also launch an export Ghana policy to expand access to markets for made-in-Ghana goods under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement regime and other external trade programs. Ladies and gentlemen, we will promote quality assurance standards and strategic partnerships and networking to enhance the competitiveness of made in Ghana products on the international market. We will also diversify Ghanaian exports by expanding our export offerings, promoting strategic products, and ensuring value addition. To mitigate gendered barriers to entrepreneurship for Ghanaian women, our running mate has spoken extensively on this. We will establish a Women's Development Bank to support women-owned and women-led businesses with low-interest loans and other tailored financial services on very flexible terms. We intend to implement the Ejumawura program, and this is a special business startup policy aimed at facilitating the creation, tracking, and mentoring of a minimum of 10,000 businesses annually, with a special focus on young people. Through our national apprenticeship program, ladies and gentlemen, we will provide free technical and vocational training for young people in various crafts, and in addition to certification, we will support these apprentices with startup capital and equipment to set up their businesses. Many of us young people sitting here would identify with this program. Fellow citizens, the next NDC government would also implement comprehensive and far-reaching reforms under our Ghana Framework for Industrialization, Revitalization, Support and Transformation, which we call Ghana First, flagship program. Under our Ghana First program, we will accelerate manufacturing growth for economic development and jobs. We will empower trade to drive national prosperity. We will promote exports to expand global market reach, and we will structure and formalize the informal economy for sustainable economic development and to enhance the business environment for seamless operations.
Let's head to the quarters of the legislature now. And the minority in Parliament is calling on President Akufo-Addo to immediately dismiss his 2 ministers over rising activities of illegal miners. Management of the Ghana Water Company Limited has cautioned water treatment will soon be practically impossible as a result of pollution from illegal mining. Addressing the media in Parliament, minority spokesperson on lands and forestry, Alhassan Suhuyini, demanded dismissal of Minister for Science, Environment and Innovation, Ophelia Hayford, and Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, by President Akufo-Addo over the Galamsey menace. Now, the Tamale North MP charged the president to use his final days to fight the canker to prove he and his appointees are not benefiting from the illegality.
It is shameful that at significant levels and pace of digitization that was inherited from the previous government and how much have been expended since 2017, the verdict of the Auditor General in his performance audit report on land registration is that the registration system at the Land Commission did not enable them to register lands within the required period of 90 days. Out of 2,000 applications examined by the Auditor General, about 80% were processed beyond the 90-day period. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, today there are repeated predictions from different agencies that Ghana is at risk of importing water for drinking. About 60% of water bodies are said to be polluted by illegal mining activities. Up to 50% of water supplied by water treatment facilities is discarded because the salinity levels do not comply with national standards, and the increasing cost of water treatment for domestic use is unsustainable. The impunity of the illegal miners have even put major highways such as the Kumasi-Konongo Highway at risk, and major railway lines also at risk. We should therefore call on our lame duck president, who checked out long ago, and the clueless vice president, who is only focused on merely winning an election to show it is possible without a clue as to what to do with it, to at least dismiss the ministers responsible for science and environment, a minister responsible for lands and natural resources, to signal their disappointment also and the indignation of the people of Ghana. Anything short of that will mean our suspicions that Galamsey is a regime-sponsored and supported rape of the state is true. We also demand a statement from the president on the state of our environment immediately. a statement from the president on the state of our environment is necessary, and we demand that immediately.
You just heard Alassane Suhuyini speaking then. Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has waded into the discussion, revealing some members of Parliament cannot escape blame for the ravages of the activities of illegal miners in the country. Now, the issue drew attention on the floor of the House when the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, demanded summoning of the responsible ministers over the rising threat of galamsey during the presentation of the business statements.
Face an existential threat. The Ghana Water is saying that within the next 2-3 years, if the trend continues, they may have to import water. Mr. Speaker, that is how dire the situation is. So I want to appeal to your good self, Right Honourable Speaker, if you can direct that before we rise, these 2 days is good time to get the ministers responsible for the environment and for sanitation and water resources to appear before us and apprise us on what is being done to combat galamsey, to stop the menace, and to protect our water bodies. Because, Mr. Speaker, it does appear that apart from the Volta River, all our rivers are gone. All the rivers are gone due to galamsey. And this is such an important matter. And if we have the opportunity to sit today and tomorrow, I believe sincerely, Mr. Speaker, that we shouldn't miss this opportunity to have the ministers appear before us and tell us what they are doing to save lives and to save our water bodies.
Now, still on this development, and the Minister for Defence and Interior, Dominic Nitiwu, urged Parliament to sanction any politician who promises galamseyers a field day should he be voted for.
Anybody, whether you are a religious person, you are a traditional person, you are a politician, you are a flag bearer or an MP who politicizes galamsey operations in this country, this House must take action on that person. Mr. Speaker, this House should take drastic measures against any individual who politicizes galamsey matters, who is promising the youth of Ghana that if you vote for me, I would allow you to do galamsey. We have the power to protect Ghana, and we have the power to protect our people, to protect the unborn ones. There are some things we can do politics with, but galamsey should not be one of them. So, Mr. Speaker, I want all the people, I will provide evidence, videos of all the people, and we should invite them tomorrow to this House and make them answer publicly. Whether they are NDC, they are MPP, they are CPP, I don't care. But I will do that.
Let's stay further on this development. And Speaker, however, dropped a bombshell by revealing some lawmakers themselves are involved in the illegal mining business. Thus, the difficulty in tackling the problem. Bagbin urged politicians to stop accepting funding from galamseyers if the fight is to be won.
I love Ghana. I want to see Ghana survive. But we cannot continue this way and expect that things will get any better. Let's continue to work together. If we don't build the trust, nothing will happen in this country. Nothing. Any word come from any of you is taken on the basis of suspicion. So how are you going to work together to achieve what you're talking about? So please, as they say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Let's work together. You are the leaders, and every day people are listening to you. They are watching you. They want to see you talk about Ghana. The way forward, not parties. Who are those participating in the galamsey? If we take census, some of you will be there. And the people you are talking to are aware. It's not that they are not aware. They are aware that some of you are participating in it. So please, first desist from doing it yourself. Don't go to them for the money for your campaigns. Don't go to solicit their votes. Let them see you work. Truly, it's a disgrace that we've gone to this far. Look at the water. Horrible. But that is no problem. It's only expensive. But annually, the water we get as a country can refill all these rivers. But how do you do away with what has already been polluted? And the environment, how do you repair the damage? That is the challenge we have. But God has blessed us with so much water that on an annual basis, we get water more than what we have now. The data is there.
Well, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, has been speaking on the status of the Commission's fight in the canker. He engaged some journalists earlier today on the sidelines of the opening of a national policy dialogue on the economic contribution of the forestry sector to Ghana's economy.
This is a work of the Forestry Commission to protect the forest reserves, the water bodies that are in the forest reserve. But the water bodies flow over longer distances. Some takes their source maybe in the eastern region and may end up going to the sea in the western region. What it tells you is that along that whole path, any activity any negative activity that happens there will impact on the water. When we are fighting galamsey in the reserves, we are clear in our minds that there is the negative impact of galamsey will impact on the river bodies. It will make it turbid. It will be very difficult for the communities to, maybe some of them benefit from fish, some of them bath, some of them wash their clothing. All these are social impacts that happen, and then the chemicals that are likely to be found in those waters, and then the plants that will grow in those areas. So the fight against galamsey with the support of our ministry, that is what we have been doing. But then the turbidity and the color of the rivers that we see is across the whole length of the path of the water. The water flows over a longer distance, but certainly galamsey contributes to. The Forest Commission is engaging maybe protecting the forest. So anybody we don't find out where you are coming from. Once we apprehend you, arrest you, we take you to the police station. It is for intelligence.
You just heard John Alote, the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission. You are still listening to Starr Today.
Starr Today. First, fast, and credible.
Now, days after the destruction of the sculpted bust of the Big Six at the Tutuwaa International Airport roundabout, the debris are yet to be cleared. The monument, which serves as a poignant reminder of invaluable contributions of 6 individuals in the pre-colonial era, had over the weekend been completely destroyed, according to the police, by one Neliwu Gavu. There are more details in this report.
Unbelievable. Vandalizing a national monument is unthinkable. Yet, that's exactly what happened at the airport runabout. The question on everyone's mind: what could drive someone to destroy a piece of national history? Newell Gavu's actions on August 31st have left many searching for answers. 3 days since the destruction of the bust of the Big Six at the airport runabout in Accra, yet the debris remain at the site. Despite initial reports of some men believed to be from the police service picking up parts of the destroyed sculpture, the once iconic piece of art had the Big Six, comprising Ebenezer Akwaje, Edward Akufo-Addo, J.B. Dankwa, Emmanuel Obeche-Bilamte, William Ofori-Atta, and Kwame Nkrumah, facing the 4 cardinal points
had been broken down almost to rubble.
Honestly, I'm disappointed and shocked because I see that as one of the prominent figures, one of the prominent sites of Ghana that shows the history and the heritage of our culture and of our country. They are destroying our heritage, they are destroying their own culture. They are also citizens of Ghana, so they are destroying their own culture, and I think they should put an end to it.
That's really bad, very bad. I mean, for what they did for this country, if not for them, we wouldn't be here by now. We wouldn't have the airports, we wouldn't have all those things we have here. So for them to do such a thing is very, very bad, and it's good they've been arrested.
Also, my way, Sabe, Yenibu, Emma Yahom. Say, I didn't care my home. Kebehunu say, Sabe, the big six, no, or my spirits, or my home, or was saying Kedibu and Idia Crampo, and mom, and I'm saying so Sanu Manosunti. No biti Etimania Kudro. Ade that dia na se dua abebo statue ni mabubuna se no kwa.
Memo to be frank because omo je Ghana si o ma yen ye nimu enti we na ye be hu a ye de kai na se wa be say na then na o patre because ye can big six a we mu na omo ye the big six.
The perpetrator, who was caught on camera, has since been placed in police custody as investigations go on.
You are still listening to Starr Today, and up next on the broadcast is the campaign trail. It is some 5 minutes to 6 p.m. And with 95 days to election 2024, welcome to your election hub. In the next 5 days, the Electoral Commission will start receiving nominations for both the presidential and parliamentary elections. Tonight on the campaign trail, my guest is one who would certainly be submitting his form to once again return to Parliament for 4 more years. Tonight, if you are live in Abuabo, in Kwantenum, Jamaica, Old Town, Community 6, or Down Kwanta, and surrounding areas, all in the eastern region, you certainly would want to be interested in this conversation happening in the next few minutes. My guest is a member of parliament for Achimota and NPP's parliamentary candidate for that area. Has he performed to your satisfaction? Will you give him 4 more years? And is he confident of his chances on December 7? We will be asking that and more with Alexander Akwesiakwa, who doubles as a Deputy Health Minister. Remember that we are live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM. You can also send us your WhatsApp message on 055-288-0216. Again, 055-288-0216. This is your campaign trail. Thank you very much for joining us here on Starr today. You're still listening to the campaign trail on your election hub, Starr Fair. My guest is seated, and so we'll just get straight into the conversation. Honorable, thank you very much for your time this evening, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Great.
It's a pleasure being here.
Absolutely.
First time in your studio.
Absolutely.
Very good intro.
Thank you. My production team is certainly behind it.
Yeah,
But
very powerful production.
how are your constituents doing?
We're doing so good. Achimota has been blessed with me as their MP for the past 3.5 years into 4 years. And we have a lot to say. We have a lot to say. And that gives us a lot of confidence and the fact that we are gunning to have the highest in percentage votes in Eastern region. Once more, that is 90% of the votes.
You're looking at
90%.
winning over 90%.
Yes.
What makes you so confident?
The last time we did 79.45, almost 80%. And so if we look at what we have been able to do within the time frame given us.
When you say what you've been able to do, what are some of the things that you've been able to do?
Well, I came into power during campaign. I had 5 main promises. I've been able to achieve all 5.
What are these 5 that you talk about?
Well, the first was the fact that I was going to institute a work and pay taxi policy for my people. Even though we promised 30 of them, we've been able to deliver 10. And then after the 10 has worked for the
10,
past...
that's since 2020.
Since 2020.
Okay. You've done 10 out of the 30 promises.
10. No, we did
out of
5.
The 30 cars
we
you
did
promised.
5 promises.
Okay.
And the first one was to give 30 taxis to youth in Achimota on a work and pay basis.
Okay.
We could not find the financial muscle to do all 30 straight up. So we did first 10. And then they have contributed in getting us to get another 2 more.
But I don't mean to cut you. When you made the promise to give them 30 vehicles, what was your source of funding?
Well, we're going to depend on the banks. I was going to serve as a guarantee to make sure we give it to them. And you know the financial situation, the banks haven't been solvent enough to support us in such an initiative. And so I have to cough up that money myself because my words are stronger. I want people to continue to believe my words. And so I have gotten involved to get them 10 taxis. They have worked. And
solely from your pockets?
Solely from my pocket.
Okay.
I pre-finance them.
Okay.
You know, and the second one was a promise to pay, to use half of my salary as a development fund for the constituency. And since I started taking salary from Parliament, January 2021, I have contributed over 500,000 out of my salary, half of it, to market women in Achimota who are into petty trading here and there. And so it's been given to them soft loan without interest.
Okay.
So you pay back and then we increase it. We started from 1,000 cedis per woman, per trader, and then so far we've done over 500 women. And then thirdly, I also promised that I was going to use my common fund in developing the various electoral areas in Achimota. We have 18 electoral areas in Achimota, and every MP has control over his common fund. But I initiated a project and said that I was equally going to disburse the common fund to the various electoral areas in the constituency. I am glad to report that this has been so successful, and if you listen to our candidate, Vice President and soon-to-be President of the land, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, it has become one of his campaign manifesto issue.
Okay.
So Achimota is so proud that a policy, an initiative that started from Achimota has gained national credence to the fact that it's been used.
And the fourth one is?
The fourth one was the fact that I was going to do a health insurance policy for my delegates, that's specifically for my party people, the delegates, because in actual fact, if they had not had confidence in me to push me into becoming the MP, Achimota wasn't going to benefit from me. And so they also needed that kind of support. And then the fifth one...
So you've been able to give all your delegates the national...
We have done a health insurance policy for them.
All of them?
All of them. That is beyond the NHIS.
Okay.
And so you go to hospital, and if your hospital bills go beyond what the NHIS prescribe, any additional cost, I bear, together with your wife and 2 kids. That is a big health policy for my delegates.
Okay.
And then the fifth one was to do a rice meal a rice mill, that falls under 1 day, 1 F. I was explaining this afternoon somewhere.
In your constituency?
In my constituency.
But why rice? Is that what you grow more there?
Yes, if you look at Achimoda proper, a portion of the constituents do rice. But you have
just a portion. What is the percentage?
Oh, you can look at about 30 to 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, the people in Nkwanta, majority of them majorly deal in rice. And then you have people beyond my constituency who we share bother with. Nyinase, Ofuase, all of them do rice. And there isn't any major rice mill there. And so I decided to establish the rice mill so we can have that big market. And it was going to also encourage people to go into rice farming, you know. But that was going to be a government project, and I lobbied for it. The Indians came. They have done all the feasibility studies. But the debt exchange program that Ghana undertook made it difficult for the Indian exim to continue. So we are hoping that as we're able to sort ourselves out, they will come back to it and get it done. So out of the 4,
out of the 5,
I have done,
done
out
4.
of the 5, I have done 4.5. Because the 5th one, which is the rice mill, we have secured the land, feasibility studies have been done, the rice mill has not been planted. But because I wanted to keep faith with them, I again went into my pocket to get them a combined harvester, a multi-purpose combined harvester, which was one of the major necessity for the rice farmers. They had always relied on people coming from the north and machines coming from other parts of the country before they could. But I have bought them one, and it is actually serving them well. So I have done 4.5.
Right. We'll get to your constituency again, but let's talk about your portfolio as a deputy health minister. Have you been following incidents in Kolebu Teaching Hospital lately?
As in what happened 2 days ago,
exactly.
last week?
And with what has been happening to the dialysis machine?
Yes.
The uncertainty that patients have had to undergo, you know, accessing treatments from that hospital.
You see, the issues of dialysis have almost become political. And as much as government does whatever it takes to make sure that Ghanaians or patients, renal patients, are comfortable, because of the condition, it becomes easier for people to infuse politics into it. I have had the opportunity of engaging some of them, and you clearly see that they actually appreciate what government does. But the fact that it becomes easier.
And when you say what government does, are you pointing to anything specific?
Or
is it with the provision in the NHIs?
Yes, very recently NHIs made available some funds for the payment of renal treatment.
Right.
Yes.
So that is what they are appreciating.
And that is a very big intervention that government has done.
Okay.
You know, this is something that came out of the blue. And you see, in the past, we haven't given serious attention to these kind of conditions. So we had always thought that these conditions are meant for certain class of people. But now we realize that children and people who are not well-to-do are also getting involved, or they are actually suffering from this chronic condition, and that means that the nation must take care of them, and that is what we have started doing.
But how are they appreciated when the management decides that we have a faulty machine, so we are closing the facility to outpatients without communicating to them? How are they appreciative of that?
I haven't heard that one.
You haven't?
I have not. It hasn't come to my notice. What I know is the fact that there were issues with reagents. I mean, not necessarily the machine. There were issues.
The hospital later wrote to the populace and said that they had issues with clearing some consumables from the port. And
that's what I call them reagents.
Okay.
When was that? When was this letter?
About a month ago, if I'm not
So
too
that
wrong.
has been sorted out. That has been sorted. That's what I'm saying, that you see, issues about renal conditions have almost become political. So at any point in time, there are people who keep it alive in the media. And so if you're not careful, you are going to close your eyes to what government is doing. But I can tell you, I mean, just as government is very particular about all other health conditions, renal patients are also being catered for.
Okay, so we are certain that what happened a month ago will not repeat itself.
It's not going to repeat itself, no.
We take your word for it.
Take my word for it.
Now let's talk about the faulty elevators that we've had reports on in the news lately. Are you aware of that as well?
Well, it came to light when the Honorable Akando unceremoniously went there.
He wasn't wrong to do that. Do you acknowledge that?
Well, you see, let's do things properly.
Okay, but he says that as a ranking member on that health committee, he's supposed to perform oversight responsibility. So if he decides to pay a surprise visit...
So what was going to be wrong? Or what would be wrong if he had actually informed Kolebu authorities? That's just what I want to do. You are a ranking member, you've been dealing with the Kolebu authorities.
He says he doesn't trust them. He doesn't trust the management of the facility.
So what was he expecting them to do?
He wanted to undertake the checks on his own.
And so when he did the check, what did he see?
He found out what he wanted to find out.
That it had been done.
When he went there, he said it wasn't done.
It had been done.
This is my colleague Benjamin. He was there.
Yes.
Before,
but I had also spoken to the Kolebu chief executive. He told me that the lift was faulty. It was done. The technician had come to.
You hadn't seen that it was done.
No, having been there, because you see, this is normal. It doesn't take a minister or a deputy to go fix a lift. That is why we have a chief executive. That's why we have maintenance officers. That's why we have people who are in charge of these issues. And so, I mean, if it comes into the media, I really want to find out. So I spoke with the chief executive, and he gave me the insight into it. That look, we had fixed it. The thing was faulty. We had fixed it. And the technician said, until Monday morning, nobody should use it because there was one other component that he needed to fix. That was when the Honorable Akando went there. I am not saying that it's too wrong for him to have done that, but just that, you see, from where we are, you do not want to cry wolf all the time, because when it comes to healthcare, we deal with confidence.
Okay.
You need to instill confidence in the people rather than running down the foremost health facility in our country. What is happening is that now when people are sick and you're referring them to Kolebu, because of what they hear, they think that is not the best place to be.
Okay, but they cannot be entirely wrong, because I don't know if you are aware, as we speak, the radiology units and then the maternity units, the lifts in those departments are also faulty. Are you aware?
The chief executive told me, he said that they are also under repair. I mean, the technicians putting them together. This is a facility. Kolebu is a facility that is constantly under use.
Okay.
You have people, it's a very wide range of people. Kolebu is always crowded. You understand? And if we are speaking as a country, if we want to think about it as a country, then we want to look at it from the point that if we need another major tertiary facility like Kolebu, let's start discussing it. Because Kolebu has been in existence for how long? What kind of expansion have we had? You understand? So you do not make this government look bad as if we do not care about the people because Kolebu's left is sport. It is a maintenance issue.
Is it more of the management of Kolebu or the government?
What does government have to do with Kolebu's left? Tutuwaa. I mean, the reality is that Kolebu is taking money. Kolebu has its IGF. And Kolebu does not rely on government to come and repair its lifts. It does it by itself. So it has nothing to do with government. Just that this is a government facility. You understand? If a private facility has its lifts abandoned or spoiled, would you come blaming government? No. No. And so Kolebu will tell you, yes, these are machines that when used very often, you need to service them. Otherwise, they get spoiled and they get broken down. You understand? So let's say if we close it down for about a week or two, or let's say a week, and say that it's under maintenance, somebody would interpret it and say that it's broken down. I know it's been broken down for some time now, but that is obviously not an issue for government. Kolebu has a chief executive. Kolebu has its own line officers who take charge of these things. And so if we try to make government look bad, then we are politicizing health.
The ministry has an oversight responsibility, doesn't it?
Yes, but our oversight responsibility will not go to the extent of we going to see to it that Kolebu repairs its lifts. Our oversight responsibility goes beyond that. These are minor issues that Kolebu's administration must take care of.
But in the event that the management is not up to task,
as in
ensuring that these lifts are actually working.
Yes.
Because in one breath, they say that the lifts have been fixed. In another, they say it hasn't. The reality proves otherwise.
Well, the one that Honorable Akando stormed there to feature on TV is working now.
Yeah, it says now.
It's working now.
But the remaining two?
Yes, they are also under repair.
So How long will they be under repairs for?
We need to find out. Like I'm saying, it doesn't take the minister or deputy to ask these questions. Kolebu has a chief executive.
But aren't you interested?
I am. I am. But that's why I spoke to the chief executive today.
So you are relying solely on the information from the chief executive officer?
There's very little I can do because, you see, I do not see. If it is a gadget, if it's something that must be replaced,
right,
and they want to depend on government to do that, then we can speak to it.
Okay.
But regular routine maintenance, this is beyond government. This doesn't
have you been there in recent times?
I haven't been in Kolebu for the last 1 month or two.
Oh, that's quite recent.
Yes.
Are you happy with the status of the hospital? In terms of infrastructure development, we have seen cracks in some very relevant departments. How does that make you feel?
I have said that Kolebu is a very old structure.
Okay.
I mean, you want to look at it as over 100-year-old facility, and it has undergone a lot of changes over the period. Currently, is at a point that a 7 majority of Ghanaians. If there are places that we need to renovate, yes, we need to work at it. So we cannot run the hospital down. I have said that healthcare primarily depends on the confidence you give it. If you really run it down, at the end of the day, I mean, when people are sick, I have been in certain hospitals that we are referring people to Kolebu and they say they won't go. But you see, you cannot get any better care. All the professionals, all the professors are there. That is where you need to be referred to, and they will definitely sort you out.
Right. I mean, I understand that you want to leave things for the management of Kolebu to handle, but if the management is not performing as a minister, wouldn't you rather they are absorbed for a new management to take over?
If we manage things that way in this country, then we're going to sack everybody.
So what is the alternative?
The alternative is that if there are issues, we ask questions legitimately.
Okay.
We do not hide under cover, like it happened in the case of Honorable Akando, just to go there and make the whole government bad, look bad, and Kolebu as if they are doing nothing. You understand? So if there are issues, let's talk about them. And then we can see the efficiency or otherwise of the Kolebu administration.
Okay. Now, during your vetting as a deputy health minister, you expressed readiness to handle issues with the mortuary and the funerals in the country. Share with me, how has that been for you?
Well, I'm still in touch with the mortuaries and funeral facilities agency to ensure that certain airlines that they need to ensure that they have their work regulated and come up to speed is being worked on. It's all parliamentary processes. So you know how our parliament system works. So it takes a bit of a time, so we're still on it.
But do you take time to visit mortuaries?
Mortuaries?
Yes.
I haven't.
Or are you scared to visit?
No, I own mortuaries myself.
Right. In Achimota?
I own about 5-6 mortuaries in Ghana.
What is your interest in mortuaries?
I'm a serious mortuary, and that is why I was.
My producer wants to know the name. I think he has some deceased people he wants to take there.
And sometimes we go for stock taking.
Okay.
We go for stock taking, and so I follow the technicians. I follow the mortuary attendants to ensure. Sometimes you have to visit and see to it that it's kept. Bodies are kept.
Are you happy with the state of the mortuaries in the country?
No, and that is why I said at my vetting that it's one area that I wish my minister give me permission to manage. And ever since I went there, I mean, there's so much work to be done, but because I made a promise, and I mean, rightly so, you're asking me about it, and so we have done some level of work, and we are hoping.
What level of what improvements?
Like I'm saying, we need some allies to be passed in Parliament to strengthen the mortuaries and funeral facilities agency, to make them stronger to act. And so I'm sure we'll get better.
Would you be comfortable mentioning the names of your mortuaries to us?
Ha 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 ha.
My producer lost his great grandmother recently. He wants to take care of it.
Well, we have the biggest private mortuary in Ghana.
Okay, located in which
region? In
region?
Achimota.
Okay.
It has a capacity of containing over 4,000 bodies.
Well-kept bodies?
Yes, well-kept bodies. It's one of the most renowned mortuaries or morgues in Ghana. And then we have one in Kukwentumi. And then we have another one in Ashaiman. And then there's, which one other one? I've forgotten.
So they are across the country?
Yes.
Right. Napo has been making some very funny comments regarding mortuaries and mosques in the country lately. What's your take on that?
Yes, I have also said same. That, mortuaries should not be a state business. Why would you want to come and take over our businesses? If government...
You'd rather mortuaries are privatized?
Of course. Government should not go into the business of running mortuaries. You understand?
Yeah.
These are not... government should just enact policies and pass laws to make sure mortuaries are well regulated and kept well. You don't need government to go into mortuary businesses. No. And so if you have a government that promises you that when you vote for me, I'm going to build mortuaries, it means that the government is bereft of ideas. That party is...
I see.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with Bawumia?
Bawumia? He is my candidate. He is my hope.
Okay.
I have so much confidence in him.
Prior to he being selected as the flag bearer of the NPP, what was your relationship with him?
I had a very good relationship.
Because I know that you supported Kennedy Ejapon at points.
You know, or you heard?
I heard. It's safer to say that.
Every one of them came campaigning. And as a Democrat, we allowed everybody to campaign.
Okay.
And by the time the campaign...
Ken had your support at a point.
Well, I know where we are driving to. When he came to Achimota, we received him. Okay. We made sure he felt good. We gave him, a rousing welcome. Dr. Bawumia came and the same, But I'm sure at a point when Achimota had settled on Dr. Bawumia, my senior colleague, Nobuke, wasn't excited. And he said certain things on your studios. And that is...
You withdrew your support. Is it true that you were threatened? That's what he said.
Well, and I issued a statement that said that nobody threatened me.
But you are here, so I'd like to hear it from your mouth.
Well, nobody threatened me.
Nobody threatened you?
Nobody threatened me. Why would somebody threaten me? I know what is good for my people.
Okay.
I know what my people want. It's not just about me. I can decide I'm supporting A. If my people tell me they want B, there's very little I can do. I just have one vote. You understand? Okay. I just have one vote, and that's it.
Okay.
And my people's support for Dr. Bawumia is awesome. Right after we had delivered the campaign manifesto in Takrady, he decided by the next day, Monday, to stop Achimota. Okay. And you should see it. The videos everywhere. Dr. Bawumia spent 2 days in Achimota because he was so excited and was well received.
You don't think that come December 7th, the voting will be done in a skirt and blouse manner? You don't think so?
Where?
In Achimota.
We are giving Dr. Bawumia 90%, just like they are giving me 90%. And we have told the people. They have really benefited from me ever since I became a deputy minister.
That is you, but as a government...
I'm part of the government.
That is on the constituency level, but nationally...
That's what I'm saying. I'm part of the government. And I'm leading the campaign in
Are they happy with the NPP administration?
They are. If Achimota is the only constituency going to determine this election, we are going to win 90%. Because you see, I came to power with all these promises. And then Achimota has suffered the serious mishaps in all constituencies. 5th April 2021, we had a major rainstorm that ripped off over 13 to 14 classroom blocks.
Okay.
As I speak to you now, all have been fixed. By the 13th of September, the major market in Achimota, which is over 100 years old, got razed down by fire.
Okay.
As I speak to you now, it's been done, and it's become the most modernized and biggest market in the whole of Eastern region. It's been done.
Okay.
We have had most of our roads started. We have had our share of the drip machines. All other government interventions that every constituency has had, we have had.
Okay.
And the market women in Achimota, which is the main business area in Achimota constituency, are so much proud of this government, because when their wares got spoiled, this government contributed over 4.1 million Ghana cedis to them. It gave it to them, to restart their business.
Right.
And that is what is making us promise this government 90%. Nothing's going to change it.
So there's one interesting tourist attraction in the Achimota constituency. That's the Big Ada tree.
That is not in my constituency.
It
used to be.
Okay.
But when the redemarcation was done, it happens to be in the Asane Manso Akroso constituency.
Right. Then I can't ask you. But
no, you can't.
I can't.
You can't.
You're just trying to be smart.
You can't.
Which is okay anyway. But you say that you have given taxi drivers some work and pay vehicles, about 10 of them. Tell me about the state of the Asamankese to Achimota Road.
Well, it's been tarred. We have had the roads from Asamankese to Achimoda to Akroso well tarred. And then beyond Akroso, there's a contractor on the road now. And then we get into Achimoda, we have had about 16 kilometers of asphalt road. So the CBD, the Central Business District of Achimoda, is fully asphalted. Yeah.
When are we likely to see the completion of the road? Before the year ends?
Yes, I'm sure before the end.
That you're sure? Because I was just telling you before you went on air that I'm not from Achimoda exactly. I'm from the next town. That's in Inase. My father complains bitterly anytime he has to travel because the roads are always bad. So if you are stating...
When was the last time you were there?
I was there 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Probably we may have had issues with the roads. And so now...
But my father was there a month ago.
And what did he say?
He still complained.
Which parts?
He said between Asamankese and Achimoda.
No, it can't be between Asamankese and Achimoda. It is between Akroso and Manso.
Okay.
Just a stretch of about a mile.
Okay.
You know, beyond that, you have good roads, and then you get to Oda proper, and then you are going into Ponkomas constituency.
Which is my hometown constituency.
Certainly, you have very good roads tied to Inase.
Right. When you were given your earlier submission about the things you've done for your constituency, you said that you have dedicated half of your salary to give market women loans without interest. How many beneficiaries are we talking about?
Currently, we've done over 500.
Over 500?
500 market women.
Okay. And the least amount you say is 1,000
1,500.
Okay.
Yes.
If your people vote for you, before I come to that, I mean... What would you say is your legacy project?
That's about the market. We didn't have any hope.
That is what the people will remember you for.
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't have any hope.
Okay.
And the biggest mammoth demonstration that has ever happened in Achimoda in recent time was against me because of the market.
Right.
That was after a year when there was no results. And perhaps that is the main reason why God allowed me to become an MP, because, I mean, that demonstration shook me to an extent. It shook me to my marrows to an extent that I needed to go and hold the legs of authorities in Accra, and then they decided we're going to fix it for you.
Right.
And in a year, it's been done. The fastest market that had ever been built in Ghana, and it's become the biggest and the most modernized market in Eastern region.
What about the Achimoda Sports Stadium? Do you like sports?
You
talked about health. You talked about
a little bit, but you see,
so share with us the status of that.
Most of my constituents love sports, and so there was a team. There's a team in Oda Tutuwaa Royals that tried so hard to get to a premiership, and I decided to give them the support. We would always organize supporters, sometimes 5-6 buses, to follow them wherever they are, to an extent that they got into premiership.
Right.
And when they got into premiership, they needed to come and play in their hometown, in our hometown, that's Achimoda. The stadium, I tried hard to get government funding to have it done. It was a bit difficult. So we decided to do it ourselves. I had contributed over 300,000 cedis, my personal money. And then the Honorable Esla Usu, who is also an indigent of Achimoda, contributed 100,000. We went to a very good friend and one of the stalwarts of our party and government, Gabi Ochidakun. He also contributed 50,000. And we had some other people contributing money. But, you know, that stadium demanded so much money, much more than what we had put together.
Like how much money? Did you do any feasibility study to?
Well, initially, the administrators of the team thought that we could work with about 1 million cedis. And so we said that, okay, if we're doing half of it, half a million, let's start something and see where it gets to.
But did you really start something?
Oh, yeah, we did. We've done some work, but it couldn't get to the standard where they could start playing. And so finally, ultimately, they had to get out of Premiership. They did, and the work is stalled. But at least everybody knows that we contributed.
Right. Now, the former Member of Parliament for that constituency, that's William Ejapon Kwetu. What's your relationship with him?
Very well. Very, very well.
So he's been supportive?
Yes. I mean, very recently, 2 weeks ago, when Dr. Bawumia was there, he was on stage with me. He promised the people that, look, I mean, we're together. I have promised 90%. Nobody has ever done it in Achimota. But he is sure that because he has this popular adage, say if you want to walk alone, if you want to walk faster, you walk alone. But if you want to walk far, you work with people. And now that I have declared that I want to do 90%, he sees that I'm willing to work with people. So all of them are ready to support me to do the 90%. Very splendid relationship.
Let's take a break and let me take some comments on social media for you. So this is Kwajofiag, but he says, Ghana, eyewitness I work with that. Let me move away from that. Now, Farmalex says that how can you fix something and left with a component? If the elevator is fixed, why will a technician curtail people from using it? People are not too satisfied with your response on the Kolebu issue.
Yeah, because it was fixed over the weekend. And as much as it was...
two more elevators to be fixed.
Well, yes. But the very the very busy one was what he concentrated on.
Okay.
So over the weekend, he had done the work, but he needed to fix some other components. So he said that they shouldn't put it into use until Monday morning when he would come and fix it.
Right. What do you love most about serving the people of Achimota?
They are very appreciative. They are very appreciative. And they're very indulgent, and they make me feel good. And it pushes me to do more. It pushes me to do more. Because at the end of the day, once you have people appreciating what you do, I mean, you want to do more.
Right. So in wrapping up, we are headed for the polls. Unfortunately. We are wrapping up shortly, but I wanted you to talk to your constituents because I mentioned a number of communities that are tuned in, listening at the moment, and across the country as well. Why should they retain you?
Well, they should retain me because...
And before that, will that promise that you have made to complete that rice factory be materialized before... give us timelines for the completion.
Well, I'm sure to go into our next term. We can do it before elections.
Okay.
But for my next elections, one of the things that I have set myself up to do is to ensure that we renovate the Oda Government Hospital, which is close to 100 years.
Okay.
All the other constituencies surrounding Achimota have benefited from Agenda 111. We have a very big...
Do you have Agenda 111?
No, we don't,
you
because
don't
we have a very big hospital, Achimota Government Hospital.
And that's enough to serve everybody in that area?
Oh, yes. I mean, before Agenda 111, all the other adjoining districts would served as a referral center for them.
Okay.
You know, and so what we want to do is to ensure that we put a facelift to it, make it look very, very modern. And very fortunately, I'm at the health ministry, so we've actually started working at it. And very soon, we are going to get contractors on site to start working.
Okay. I'll let you have the last word, but my producer is asking me this question. He says that your key contender in the parliamentary primaries was disqualified, and he accuses you of being the master brain behind it. How do you respond to that?
Well, he needs to grow up.
You thought he was being childish?
Yes. I mean, he needs to grow up. He needs to grow up. This game is not a game for the feeble. It's not a game for...
So he was feeble?
Yeah, of course. I mean.
Very unfortunate. But, I know... Tell us, I mean, tell the people of your constituency why they should vote for you. Those are your final words.
Like I said, the last elections, we were able to gather 79.45 of the votes, the highest in Eastern region in percentage votes. We also gave the president the highest. And because of that, I mean, we've been able to, endear the hearts of authorities. The recent reshuffle that came, we benefited from a deputy minister's position, and they know what I've been able to do with the deputy minister's position for the past 3 months or 4 months that we've been in office. Now we are telling them, We are doing 90%. That 90% obviously would elevate us. And so we're asking them to follow us, give us all the support so that whatever margins we get can be used as a bigger bargaining chip so that we can get to places to support the constituency.
Okay. Talking about percentages, you would, you're eyeing 90%, right?
Today here, the national chairman of NDC was in my constituency, and there were a handful of people following him.
Did you see visuals from there?
Oh, yes, they sent me visuals. Very handful of people. And you know, for the first time, we won Achimota Zongo in the 2020 elections. It used to be the domain of the NDC, even within, from the Safo Mafo's time. During my time, we broke the jinx. We won Achimota Zongo. And so it has pained them. And so the national officers now want to come, and the only competition that they think they have with us is just with Zongo. But this time, we're going to beat them to it. Zongo has 5 electoral areas.
Because you think you've been fair to the Zongo people?
Yes. Okay. Yes. For the first time, we've been able to give employment to the youth in the Zongo. For the first time, I mean, we've had very good relationship with the Zongo clerics. I have a meeting, a very regular meeting with them all the time. They come in, they tell us what their needs are. I mean, they feel part of the system. And so Zongo's jinx is broken forever. And this is the time we're also bringing a Zongo president.
I see. In terms of performance, how would you rate yourself?
Myself?
Percentage-wise, yeah.
Well, I think the same percentage they gave me, 79.
79?
Yes.
So you have about 21 more to do?
Yes. I see. Yes. I wouldn't be too ambitious. I rate myself 79.
Okay.
And then when they have given me 90%, I'll perform up to the 90%.
If they give you 60, you do 60.
They are not going to give me 60. No. They're not going to give me 60. We're not coming down.
You're very confident.
Yeah. I know what works we've done.
Right. Thank you very much for coming. It's been an absolute pleasure. You are still listening to the campaign trail, and I've been engaging a member of parliament for Achim Oda, Alexander Akwesiakwa, who doubles as the Deputy Minister of Health. And on that campaign trail note, we end Starr today here on Starr FM. For more news updates, log on to starfm.com.gh. I am Tutuwaa Danso. And a big thank you to my production team, led by Eko Anan Air, Prince Essien, Benjamin Saki, and Edem Kujo, and of course, Emmanuel Donko, for making this stream possible on Facebook. We are back your way tomorrow with more news updates. Have a good evening.